Hey everybody, this is Rydo, and today we're looking at Shadowverse. This is a collectible card game that I think probably is a little bit more focused on selling the cell phone version than the Steam version, but there is a Steam version. Also, it's decidedly more anime than games such as Magic the Gathering or Hearthstone, or it's about 180 from a card game I just covered called Cards, K-A-R-D-S, which is World War II themed. But I want to check it out and see if maybe it could be the new replacement for a card game that I play when I stream every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. There will be some concerns to keep an eye here as far as monetization. Is this going to go the heavy Japanese route where most of those games are rather greedy and they want you to spend quite a lot? Although in all fairness, Magic the Gathering Arena is also extremely greedy, and that is definitely a Western game company, so that is kind of inherent in collectible card games. We're also going to have to keep an eye out for YouTube family friendliness, because there might be a little bit more cleavage shown than you would normally expect. So there is that comparison to, would you rather play the very kid-friendly Hearthstone, or would I rather play this? This also might be a little bit of a newer game. I've seen some ads on YouTube. This is not an ad or in any means, but that doesn't mean inherently that it is actually new or that it actually has a player base. So there's a lot of questions. We need to just jump in and see what the tutorial and the setup is going to be like. I can tell you right now that the window that it originally launches in is just a window. It's not full screen, so we'll want to change that fairly quickly. The meaning of the dialogue may not always match up with if different languages are set for text and voice. When you change the language to French, Italian, German, or Spanish, some text in the story mode will be displayed in English. Also, when you change the language to Korean, some of the voices will play back in Japanese. So I think we'll just keep everything in English for the now, although at some point I might go to the original Japanese, which I assume it's an original Japanese game. There is a point now where Korean video game developers are starting to really step up their quality, and so there are a few good Korean games that start in South Korea and then migrate their way to Japan or China and just the general Asian area, and then they grow in popularity and they eventually migrate their way to America, the United States, and that general region, North America, maybe even South America, and eventually they even make it over to Europe. I doubt there's too much of a market in Africa. There probably is a little bit in South Africa, but not enough for a Korean company to really care about to go full global. So we'll just stick with English and English. I have in the past played some more of these anime style games where the characters shout out their attacks and say their names and just say lines of dialogue over and over again, so it can get fairly annoying, but one assumes that that will be fixed. So now they've given me an ID number that one assumes is not secret. And you could link your data, certainly. But when I'm trying to click to start, nothing is happening. And it's not like I'm seeing a Windows firewall event. It took it several times to decide what it was going to do. So here you have a massive, like, 5 to 6 gigabyte download, and particularly on a cell phone, that is just way too much. And I've played several cell phone games that really just fall down horribly because you play the tutorial, then it tells you have to download even more, or you have to sit in the loading screen before you can even jump into it. They typically do have kind of a loading element here. So we have a character named Marissa. Marissa is training as a guardian of the forest. She is inseparable from her friends Lucera until one day a menacing creature appears in their path. Erica is a sword-wielding protector to the princess. She left the castle to investigate an infamous vampire's final resting place. Isabel is an alchemical researcher. The tragic death of her beloved fiancé made her obsessed with the idea of resurrecting the dead. And Isabel has quite the cleavage. Where these other two images aren't so emphasized on that. And she's got some pretty emphasized thighs. And then here you've got your standard tough anime tough guy in a huge amount of armor. Rowan is a former commander in the Royal Army. His life changed when a ferocious dragon attacked his squad. He is now trying to come to terms with the consequences. You know what's funny is that Hearthstone, Magic the Gathering, cards, and several other collectible card games I've played have not bothered to do any of this. And honestly, I could not tell you any backstory at all for any of the characters in Hearthstone that I learned from playing Hearthstone. Even knowing that they're World of Warcraft characters. Even knowing that there are some solo adventure modes that even try to tell you or hint at what the story is. They just have been particularly bad about that. Where this is really nice because it can get you to relate to specific cards. It does kind of also imply that Shadowverse is going to more emphasize on a smaller number of cards instead of just having an infinite collection of cards that constantly there are new bosses, new enemies, new characters. Luna is a troubled child who lives in a dark, distant mansion. She finally decides to venture out into the world, hoping to find new playmates. Urias is the last of the vampires. He has been awakened after centuries. He yearns for another fight with his bitter rival, King Balthazar. Now, seeing two giantly buff anime guys is not really what would have hoped for. I would have kind of hoped that they would have gone with more of the moe art style, where this is very much a 90s Bucky the Grappler style art style, or a Berserk style art style where all the guys are just really buff and tough. Seems like they're trying to split their fandom here between people that are super into the action and the fighting games, the JoJo's Bizarre Adventure even fans, and then the more traditional cute anime girl fans, which those audiences tend to be a little bit different, at least in the West. Like this girl, for instance, just compared to this guy would try to hug her and crush her to death. He's just completely anatomically incompatible with the same universe. Eris is the high priestess who works tirelessly to ease the suffering of humanity. She continues to serve despite having lost her memories when her familiar face appears. And here we have Yuan. Yuan is probably the most realistic guy looking. Yuan is an aloof man who seeks vengeance against the being that destroyed his world. He joins those who have chosen to stand against Nexus to settle things between himself and the Keepers. And then it goes back in a circle. So, yeah, there is definitely a disconnect in the art styles, really. That's fairly obvious. I'd even say like this this alchemical girl and her art style is a little bit off. So then this might be one of those games that has 3 or 4 artists doing things. It might be that these characters are the equivalent of planeswalkers in Magic the Gathering, where there are multiple cards with these characters on them, that would be fine by me. But I think there might be, over time, if Shadowverse was super successful, a good argument to slowly kind of transition the art into a more consistent experience. An ominous presence has filled the skies. People know it by one name, the Morning Star. It is a promise of freedom, a glimpse of new worlds, a light reaching into oblivion, a shadow in mortal hearts. When darkness covers the world, the gates of annihilation will open. You see, we have another loading/downloading section, so we may very well have just downloaded the tutorial, the first 2 gigabytes. And take note that that was not voiced, but that's probably better, because if that was 5 more seconds of downloading just to have audio that you'd hear exactly once, it's not worth it. When you click on things, you get a kind of interesting overlook, an interesting effect. None of the other collectible card games I've played have also had this as a system where you have an overworld, at least for a story mode, and I kind of appreciate that, because it gives you just a more general feeling of what the world looks like. But you can't pan and zoom right now. So, Losaria and Arissa are 2 young elves who live in the woods. They are training tirelessly to one day become forest guardians. Do we want to display subtitles? Yes. That's an interesting place to put it, but not a terrible place to put it, since we really can't get to the menu yet. I'm still waiting to try to be able to put this in full screen. Wrath. Oops, load was too fast.
Whoa.
Now this is fairly typical in the more Japanese anime-based games, is that you'll have a lot of the loading really just be a video that has been pre-rendered by some third-party animation company, almost certainly.
We'll both be forest guardians. Yeah. Thank you, Losaria.
This idea kind of can work, but also it's kind of just a bait and switch concept.
Scared?
Because it's not really what you're going to get in the game. And very often what you'll see is that you'll see these like pre-rendered cutscenes shown as ads on YouTube and other places, and there's this heavy implication that that's what the actual game is, and it isn't. I've also seen plenty of ads that just straight up completely lie to you about what the game actually is. They'll make it look like a completely type of game with a completely different story, with completely different main characters, and they just don't care, and YouTube doesn't care. Okay, so we now are getting asked more questions. Game settings can be adjusted for optimum play on your device. Again, this feels like this is probably more for a cell phone than a PC. My PC can handle it just fine. So do I want to reduce battle animations? No. Do I want to display leader animations? I guess yes. So, keen enhancement. Again, it loaded so fast I couldn't even read it.
Out of my way!
We finally get into an actual card game, and it only took 15 minutes to get there. Cards can be played by spending points, so they have a cost. Drag the goblin from your hand to the area. This seems fairly obvious. There's a cost to play them, there's an attack, and a health. Or I assume that's what it is. And they do something interesting here, in the fact that you can see the attack and health while this is zoomed down really low. And this feels like a traditional Hearthstone style of game where you have heroes and each one of them have a certain amount of health, and they seem like they might have a ability counter too that they can use. I'm not sure what these are, but this probably indicates that I have 29 cards in the deck and I've drawn one. I'm not sure what these dots mean, but they probably represent the amount of energy, so it is going for more of a Hearthstone thing compared to Magic, where you have to play lands, and if you don't play lands, you don't have mana to spell to summon anybody. Regular follower cards can't attack on the turn they're played, so we have to end our turn. We're fairly basic stuff here, nothing crazy.
Let's play.
The World War II military card game I played had an interesting twist in that there wasn't a hero per se that took up some of the screen. You can attack by dragging your followers onto an enemy, drag the goblin toward the enemy fairy to attack. How much damage the follower deals depends how much damage will destroy the follower. So this is labeled as defense, but the way it's being written kind of makes it more like a health. In Magic, your health regenerates after a fight, so it's a toughness, which I haven't seen any other game copy that, and it's not a good system, frankly. Magic is just so old. There's so many better ideas that have sprung up from the mistakes that Magic have made. But yeah, dragging out a game and having something with a toughness that could defend a player for eternity just makes the game go very long. And collectible card games in general have this problem of being very long and taking too long. Let's see, now it's down to 3, so maybe this is a cooldown for a hero ability. But in the World War II game cards, instead of having a hero, and just look at how much square footage on the screen this takes up, you just have a headquarters card that is next to you, so it let him zoom in a lot more. Unfortunately, cards is just so focused around World War II imagery and such, you would have to be pretty much a fan of that, and you would have to hope that there's enough of a player base of fans of World War II, and that there is actually enough room there to make new content. And I have a sneaking suspicion it would be very hard to continuously add cards to a World War II theme, because there's only so many actual historically accurate battalions and weapons of war that exist, tanks, planes, things like that. At the start of your turn, you gain additional point orbs. I guess that's what that is, and all empty orbs are refilled. You now have 2 play points. Play the fighter you drew. Interesting. We're still on the second turn.
I live by the sword.
The only thing I'm running into right now, still not sure what this is the fact that it's not full screen, because this would be a lot easier to look at if I could zoom in the screen a little bit higher. So apparently you can evolve your cards, and that's what the countdown is. Okay. You can choose to attack the enemy leader even if they have a follower in their area, so I imagine there's probably an ability like Taunt or Defender or something along that line that a character would have to stop someone from attacking.
Give me that.
And then we can use this. We can see they do maintain damage in between turns.
How much is in it for me?
Let's see if we can right click on any of these cards and see them bigger. No. You can click on them and see their abilities, which again, this feels very full, very much for like tablet or cell phone play. But there's no way in game to look at the art, which is weird, certainly, because if the reason you're here is for the art of the game, then you would think they would want to make that super easy to see. I feel like I've always wanted to see Steam basically sell games like this, or in this case this is a free-to-play game, and then automatically have a cell phone Android version or iOS version that could be installed on the iOS app, particularly for like AAA games. If there is some kind of companion app or advertisement app, the Hitman series, for instance, had like this Sniper Elite cell phone game, I believe, at one point. But there was really no way, if you bought the Hitman AAA game for $60 plus, that they could just give you the cell phone app. There's totally a way. They could easily just say, when you install this thing, go to this folder and there will be an APK that you could sideload. And on Android, sideloading is fairly easy. But if the Steam app itself could integrate that, that would be great, and that would help quality games have a chance of showing up on cell phones instead of the just minefield of terrible games that are on cell phones right now. Not that Steam is really a great curator of quality. There is at least a little bit of comparison and reviews and things that actually matter on the Steam store, where I don't think anybody actually looks at Google Play reviews or shops based on that. Let's see. Effects type ward. When your opponent has a follower with ward in play, you can't attack any other enemies until you've destroyed it. So they're calling taunt ward, which, okay, that's a weird word to use, but okay, we can figure that out fairly easily. So we're gonna sacrifice this guy, and then attack here, and attack here. And he's down to 4, so we can probably win in the next turn. And we need more play points to play this, which even when you click on this, you're not really getting a very large zoom in. So far so good. We're not seeing anything extremely lewd, although there might be mods out there for any number of games. You can make one follower per turn even stronger by evolving it. So it wants me to drop this, and then wants me to evolve it, which I would have thought you would have done something more like dragging that to that, but okay. So it goes from a 3-4 to a 5-6.
You're done for.
And that was so far the shoutouts and the voice lines are not terrible. Evolved followers can immediately attack enemy followers even if the same turn they were played from the hand. That's an interesting twist. And I haven't really seen any other collectible card games that just have an inherent evolve ability for every character. Usually there are spells that give you like an increase in health or an increase in attack, and that does basically the same thing. But perhaps this is a game that is not going to really have spells or traps or anything like that. It's just going to be every turn you get a character to play. That could be fairly boring, no? So there's a danger in that. The player who goes first can evolve twice per battle. The second player can evolve 3 times. For now, attack the enemy leader to win the battle. Okay. So, evolve is perhaps a very large advantage. And we're at 98.6%, so we've moving fairly slowly managed to still not play long enough to download everything. So next we have the rescue. As the 2 young girls are training, a mysterious creature snatches Arissa away. Losaria chases after the creatures to save Arissa. So, it's now asking if we want to disable voice or enable voice. so we'll just say enable voice. Which, this is kind of a, I guess, a visual novel element. Let's see, can we finally get to the menu? Took a sweet time. There's menus here, but not for full screen. Interesting. And I tried Alt Enter. I guess I should try it again. Let's see. Alt Enter. Nope. Still not working as a way of going into full screen. I can maximize the window, so that helped a little bit. Did that change something, though, for the way you saw things? Yes, it did. Interesting. So, I can make it work for me and put black bars for you, or I can leave it smaller. Maybe I could stretch things a little bit. Nope. Don't want to do that either. Oops. Now I've done it. Well, that sucks. Man, I gotta fiddle with it all over the place. I think that's good enough. So, yeah, a lot of Japanese Asian games have this kind of visual novel element where you'll get basically still images and then they'll tell you a lot of text. In a collectible card game, we probably won't see too much of that, but it is nice to see. And this seems to have some kind of jitter physics. There is this technology called Live 2D that stretches and moves the characters to make them look like they're actually alive and actually moving. I wouldn't really think that that's what this is. If it is, they're implementing Live 2D as a technology fairly badly.
Give her back!
But they are definitely trying to have more animation here. But there's basically nothing here.
Out of my way!
It's always a little weird to potentially need an extra coin or an extra pair of cards to decide who goes first or not. But there's not like a better system. You could play rock, paper, scissors in the real world, but in digital games, digital coin flips are about just as good. Card types followers. So far we've been using follower cards. They can attack enemies, defend against enemy attacks, and be evolved. Let's see, again, there's no menu in game, so I kind of wonder how you just concede.
I live by the sword.
Like, you kind of need to be able to concede and give up. Also, assuming we actually make it to playing against actual people, which we're assuming actually happens in this game, you need a timer and not these AI games that go on forever. But I'm glad to not see any timers during the AI tutorial games. Attack the enemy leader with your fighter. Can do. We're really just fighting the same character again. Now we have a card type AMULETS. This amulet strengthens one of your followers at the start of your turn. Okay. Called the Well of Destiny. At the start of your turn, give +1/+1. Unlike followers, amulets can't attack or defend. Instead, they have powerful abilities that affect other cards and leaders. I wonder what the maximum number of cards you can have on the field is. So, +1/+1 to a random allied follower.
Revenge!
So, we can evolve some cards have special abilities that activate under certain conditions. Fanfare abilities trigger when a card is played from the hand. So I think they kind of cheated to give us 6 energy quicker. So they want us to play this.
You won't escape.
Deal 1 damage to a random enemy follower. Elf Tracker's Fanfare dealt damage to the enemy Goblin King. Now attack Goblin King. So it does 1 damage to a random follower twice. So maybe not the same.
Take that! Darn it all!
Well, wait a minute. Wouldn't I want to then like evolve this and then attack? Or I guess you can evolve AMULETS, but yeah, that seems odd. Seems to me like you would want to evolve them. They do something interesting here where they've kind of gotten rid of the graveyard concept, so you can't see an opponent's graveyard, which means, at least at the current time, there's probably not a way to summon things out of a graveyard. We have card type spells. Spells are cards that can be activated immediately and are just then discarded. Discard damages an enemy, then gives you a fairy card too. So yeah, you just have an indication here that there's one in a graveyard, but there is no graveyard to be shown, and the decks are hidden fairly nicely. Yeah, this is always a problem with collectible card games, is they're trying to find as much square footage and as much space as possible. And there's probably a bit of a waste of space over here, but everywhere else it's fairly well thought through. Although that is slightly concerning about the lack of a graveyard. So we're going to deal 2 damage to this guy. And then that's going to give me a fairy card. Sylvan Justice and destroyed the lizard men. Now evolve your elf tracker and defeat your opponent. You can also use the yellow sphere to evolve cards. I was thinking you could do that. That seemed like that would have been a really wasteful way to do things.
My arrows never miss. This'll do it.
And the little arcing targeting dots are a little weird, but not crazy weird. Play point. There are. I don't even know why I'm trying to read those. Determination. Larissa fights the mysterious creature for the last bit of strength in order to save the abducted Arissa. Seems like it's going to give you the option to enable or disable voice every time, which is interesting. The mercenary drifter image there was a little bit leggy in its depiction, but
out of my way.
So far I don't think we've come across anything that's extremely lewd. And I would say that like this character in particular looks much closer to the animation style that we've seen with the girl characters compared to those giant armor guys. So I don't know if those giant armor guys are going to end up being like bosses or characters you don't see very often, or if they're just going to be hero style characters that you can choose to play as if you want to. So now we're getting the option of the mulligan, the redrawing at the beginning of a starting hand. Keep the low cost cards that can be played in the early rounds of the battle and replace the expensive cards that won't be played until later on. So we're going to change that one and that one. I'll keep that one. This game is hand-holding me a lot better than some of the other card games I've played in the tutorial mode. It's kind of just telling me exactly what I need to know if I've never ever played a collectible card game. In all odds, a lot of people will have played other collectible card games, and I've played plenty of them, so I know all of this stuff, but I don't really hate that they're telling me what word they use to call certain abilities, or just walking me through the basics so I know if there is something that they do slightly different, I'm not surprised by it later. Going second, to player that goes second draws 2 cards on the first turn. So you get like a double advantage for going second. You get 2 extra cards and an extra involve. Battle tutorial complete. Now you're ready for battle on your own. And so that's the end of that. And yet the skip button still exists, which I find a little odd. Can I not play anything? Nope, can't. So the game seems to be accurate when it's highlighting that.
I act at my heart's
I like this idea of clicking on the cards and it just covering up the face of your hero. That's something Hearthstone could have done fairly easily. And Hearthstone does work as a
I live by the sword.
like as a mobile version of the game. It does work, but it's not quite as polished last time I looked at it, which it's been maybe 6 months since I last looked at the mobile version.
Wait, that's it?
So there is perhaps an argument to be made around the idea of focusing your energy and making a mobile game first and foremost.
I live by the sword.
Not sure I'm playing right, but
Don't hurt me.
it does seem like there is a tit for tat strategy that you're gonna have to play a lot of times, which is very much like Hearthstone and very different from Magic the Gathering, where Magic the Gathering you put enemies up on the field and your opponent very often just passes and doesn't bother to attack, where Yu-Gi-Oh! Your advantage to attack almost always. There's like no reason to not attack. In Hearthstone, you're almost always advantaged to attack and continue the game moving. However, even though Hearthstone compared to Magic does have several improvements that speed up the game and have the game be more interactive turn to turn, it still manages to stretch out games often a lot longer than I would have liked when I was playing it. This one has a last words, which is sometimes in other games referred to as like a death rattle. So when this dies, it will give me a fairy in my hand. I assume a random fairy. And this would be a point where it depends on how many different kind of fairies there are, whether it's a random fairy or whether there's just a basic fairy card. It looks like it's probably a basic fairy card every time. Let's see. Do we have anything we want to do? I'm gonna put Okami whenever another allied follower comes to play, gain +1/+1. I'm gonna go ahead and evolve this to, what was that? It's an, they don't change their names when they're evolved. Interesting. So I have to attack that. And then
Take that.
we'll go ahead and just attack that.
This wasn't worth it.
Now this guy does have just 10 health, so
1,
this
2,
still
3,
isn't really
go.
a full game.
How much is in it for me? The miasma can't prevail.
So there is a question along this order as far as just how many cards in total the game is. What is strike? How, put a fairy in your hand. I don't know what strike does though. This one has a ward, which makes this one the right one to move. And then attack. Oh. And can we evolve this again? Nope. So we'll just evolve that.
It won't be long now.
So now it's a 4/8 with Ward. These games do seem to be fairly quick. Maybe twice as long for twice as much health, but I'm not getting into anything so far that's just in crazy extreme.
Shield of fairies. My feet are giving out on me. This wasn't worth it.
I would probably argue that the idea of having 3 characters with 3 different skins is probably a lot better than some of the other collectible card games, because often they're just constantly trying to make new characters, and sometimes they'll make like a gold foil or a special version of the same character, so you have to do double the art because of that, on top of having tons of cards. And Magic can have ridiculous amounts of variations of the exact same cards. Or they'll release a new version of the card in a new expansion that is really not any major difference. But it's pointless to play anything here. Like, I can do that if I want to. But there's kind of like no reason to have done that. I could have just done that and then that. Or I could have done vice versa. Oh, that one had Ward too.
But the forest.
Interesting. But he still lost.
My arrows never miss. This'll do it.
Why can this not attack?
This'll do it.
Why can this one not attack after I evolved it? Can you only attack creatures and not attack the hero? But yeah, we have like a 7-turn game here. Destroy an enemy amulet. I don't know if the game is cheating here so that I lose, or if there was just some trick to this.
This'll do it.
No, I guess maybe the rules are that if you evolve somebody, they can't attack a hero, which is kind of a fair balance. You've earned rewards, collect them later from the crate in the home screen. So we still haven't gotten to this home screen, and most collectible card games are this rush through the tutorial to actually get into the home screen.
Are you hurt? No, I'm fine. Thanks.
They even are trying to get the lip flaps in the dialogue to synchronize with the English.
I thought something
That's
might have
interesting.
happened to you. I'm glad you're safe.
A lot of times they don't bother to do that, although there are newer technologies now that kind of automatically do that. Or try to. They don't, I think, succeed that well. This is an enemy that I feel like I have seen in other games. So there might be a little bit of asset flipping going on here, but I really couldn't call this inconsistent with the art style that we've seen elsewhere.
Arissa, be careful!
So now I guess we'll play as Arissa.
Lothario, wait!
So there's these like bad demon looking creatures, shadows, that are kidnapping people.
No! What am I gonna do?
So that's an interesting way to have a power creep, because now Lost Area was probably a more powerful deck than what we'll actually start with.
Hold on, Lotharia.
As playing as Arissa. Of course, I feel like there probably should be some entry story entry stories for several other characters too, in case you want to play as those other characters. 20 rupees for automatically claimed. Who knows how much 20 rupees are worth? Let's see. Fortune's Hand release bonus. Your rewards were automatically claimed. Next time Fortune's Hands card pack. What am I doing? Welcome to Shadowverse. Let's claim the rewards you just earned in the tutorial from your crate. We really just jumped there while I was trying to click and see what was going on and what that was. But I guess what may have happened there is it may have just automatically forced me into clicking OK, even though my mouse was nowhere over OK. Let's first go to your crate. All right. So, if this is actually your home and it's just showing you the cards, it does kind of imply that you won't have a ton of cards, or this wheel is just going to get infinite and huge. So, claim your rewards you just earned in the tutorial. So, claim all. Which I guess I can claim quite a lot of stuff. So they're trying to put you on kind of the track to get used to buying things from the store, so eventually you'll start using this premium currency and real world money. So we get a legendary card pack ticket, we get the World Uprooted card pack ticket times 10, the Ultimate Coliseum card pack ticket times 10, the Verdant Conflict card pack ticket times 10. This is way more generous than any other collectible card game has been after a tutorial. Now I don't know if all of these things are fairly useless, particularly if you need like 10 tickets to summon anything anyways. A Rebirth of Glory card pack ticket, a challenge ticket times 3, 100 rupees, 400 vials, which maybe those are the dust to craft specific cards. Fortune's Hand card pack ticket times 10 from a promotion. The 4th birthday temporary deck ticket. Has this game really been out for 4 years? Interesting. I may be so late to the party at that point that it might not be worth it to play a game like this. Although, in all fairness, there is a Marvel card game that is in development from a company called Second Dinner by Ben Brode, who owns that company or runs that company, and he was the guy that was in charge of creating Hearthstone originally, so I imagine I am planning on jumping into the beta of that, or as early as I can actually get into that. So playing a game like this for a year or two until that beta starts happening, even if it's only 6 months, would be perfectly fine by me. A Sears Globe from the Shadowverse team. A legendary card pack ticket times 3 from the Shadowverse team. There is a cell phone game I play that gives quite a lot of rewards every time there's an update. It's nice, but also I would say they can afford to give a lot of rewards because there's just a very high prize pool of summoned characters in that game, and the vast majority of the cards that you will get are not worth anything, so you can get a lot of very unvaluable things, a lot of pennies basically, compared to getting $1 item or $10 item or $100 item. Although there's not an actual real world currency equivalent in that game. Fortune's Hand card pack, World Uprooted card pack, Ultimate Coliseum card pack, Verdant Conflict card pack, Rebirth Glory card pack. So it seems like there is 4 or 5 expansions out here. And then the biggest one here is 3,500 vials, which seems like a lot. So we have 300. rupees, and then just a ton of tickets for things. Use the card pack tickets to buy card packs. So yeah, they definitely want you to get into that mentality. Can I click more here? No. Okay. So we'll want to see what the real world money equivalent of a lot of this is. Legendary card packs are special card packs that include one legendary card, which is probably to say that a lot of card packs aren't guaranteed a legendary. I don't know the tiers at the current moment though, so I don't know. I don't know if it goes common, uncommon, rare, ultra rare, legendary, or if it's just common and legendary, and that could be a big difference. Also, I have no idea how many common cards there are versus how many legendary cards there are, so that also confuses this issue for a new player quite a bit. So it is clearly for the benefit of the game and the idea of pushing people into becoming whales and spending money in microtransactions that they're pushing you to buy packs right now, instead of saying, hey, why don't you do that later, once you get a feel of the cards, or you at least can go into the card section and see all the cards that are available. Okay. If we use 4, we need 4 tickets needed. And we might as well do this now. Let's see. Use the 4 tickets for 4 legendary packs. Buy. And it won't even let you cancel. Interesting. So the game is really forcing you to it. This is a nice animation. A lot of the card pack animations in some of the games are kind of boring. Oddly, Magic the Gathering Arena is particularly boring. And we'll want to see if we get sound effects and hype building elements on top of this as far as what cards we actually get. I mean, this is the stuff that the digital version of a card game can do compared to a non-digital version of a card game. I don't know if I like this idea where you drag, because I kind of would want to do it one by one. So you get a little bit of a ding when you get a legendary, apparently. And then you get a duller ding when you get what I would have to assume is an uncommon. So it seems like there might be 3 tiers. Wait a minute. Nope, there's 4 tiers by the looks of it. See, maybe these little dots here are the indicators of the tiers. So white might be common, blue might be uncommon, but that wouldn't make sense. Unless this is supposed to be bronze. This looks like gold to me. Unless this is gold, platinum, and something else. But then this also looks blue. And this kind of looks purplish. And this one looks white. So I have no idea what the gems mean. And these 2 are red. And these are different borders. So the gems may not have anything to do with the rarity. It may just be the borders that have the rarity. And that might make sense if you have bronze, gold, platinum, and then shiny color foil. And you get no little hint. So if you drag, you get that effect. Okay, which is a little less interesting in my opinion. So far it does seem like we're getting different cards though. Seems like there's enough cards here. And just consistently having a problem here with the screen not being at the maximum. And there probably is at the very least a way to go into the configuration files and make this full screen, but I couldn't do that while I'm recording. Let's see. you get a lot of cards here. This is the most amount of cards I've seen in a pack. 8 cards. Yeah, you get 7 in a Magic the Gathering pack. You get 5 in a Hearthstone pack. Think you got... Yeah, I can't think of any other game that has anything higher than 7, so there's more here. There is a level of trust you can almost put into a Japanese or Eastern style game like this, in the fact that they just are obsessed with the visuals in anime and manga and all of that. Like, they're not going to half-butt it, as it were. They're going to try to put as many characters and as much art and as much drawing as possible. Some of that is directly attributable to the fact that they pay their animators basically nothing, so they're getting close to free labor. But when you compare that to some of the artwork in the Magic the Gathering cards, that artwork is fine, but it's not particularly amazing or pretty. There's a lot of lands cards in Magic that just look like lands, a decent background, but not anything that you're going to write home about. And let's say Hearthstone is about 50-50 there, too, where the Hearthstone characters are often pretty, but often they're pretty dull, too. Items obtained, we have Karula Arts Master ×1, Carol Caddy Sorceress, Saren Orphanage Matron, whose rewards were automatically claimed. Also have Garyu Supreme Dragonkin, and Tista Wings of Mercy, which I don't know if these are cards or if these are different heroes icons you can play as. You can buy packs from other card sets with the card pack tickets you've earned from completing the tutorial. Select the name of a card set on the left side of the screen to switch to that set. You're able to trade your card pack points for tradable cards. For every card pack you purchase, you earn 1 card pack point. For more details, see the help section. Alright, so it moved us away from the legendary, which I don't know if they disappeared that or what. Like, what happened to the legendary purchases? So if you were gonna buy 1 crystal, you would right now need 50 crystals, but you normally would need 100 crystals. I bet this sale comes fairly often. Or you would need 100 rupees. So apparently rupees and crystals, at least in this trade, are worth exactly the same. So if we could find how to buy rupees directly, which I imagine you can, it's probably behind this button. Let's see. Yeah, there's these are probably not standard cards. These are like crossover cards. And see, this one in particular down here, when I can get to it, this Wonderland Dreams, I believe, is characters from like fairy tales, like Little Red Riding Hood and Snow White and things like that. Or some of these others, like Rise of Bahamut, I believe, is another cell phone game. I assume the classic card pack is just a classic card pack. Alright. We have 21, 15, 15. So, Fortuna's Hand is a pack that contains 8 cards and at least one is a silver legendary card, where these here use a different ticket for World Uprooted, and these here use a different ticket for Ultimate Coliseum. and Verdant Conflict. Each one seems to have their own little icon, so there's no overlap there. But it seems like for all these other ones, they have their unique tickets also, and I don't have any of those. So it is seemingly the right move to just do this. Oddly, you can only buy 10, so we'll just buy 10 of everything. And that seems that will work. And here you have different art for a different card pack, so that's nice. Although it's pretty much the same. You're basically opening a vampire coffin to get cards. But you definitely have a problem doing this when you don't know what the cards are. Like it means absolutely nothing to you until you've actually played with these cards or seen someone else play with the cards. And that's the thing that collectible cards are supposed to be able to do, is they are supposed to have you get particularly jealous. See, this one seems to have quite a lot of action on that animation. And you can click on it and see it larger. Nice. Can you? What does this button do? It shows you some text and the abilities. Nice. Keeping everything very large. And since I'm playing this on a TV 10 feet away, even I can read it fairly nicely. See what happens if we do something like this. It took it a while to realize I had flipped all the cards when I did it that way. Then let's just go the full other route. Yeah, it takes it considerably longer to realize that you've opened the packs compared to that, which seems to handle it at least a second faster. But what am I doing right now? I'm just opening cards, and I'm gonna have so many cards available to me, it's going to be very hard to even begin to start to think about making a deck, which has always been kind of a consistent problem with collectible card games too, is that you either decide to make your own deck and have fun with it and just do something weird and wild that almost certainly won't be competitive, or you decide you actually want to win and then you go and copy and paste a cheap meta deck from some website or have someone help you build a deck. That was 2 gold ones. I'm wondering if maybe you could upgrade the quality of some of the cards you have from like silver to gold, or if it doesn't matter, or if there aren't different qualities for the same card. For instance, like this artifact scan is always going to be a silver card, or I assume that's silver. We're still confused by this though. You're getting 7 Ulion the Chariot times 1. I can open more of those, but let's just stick with 10 for now. This is more of kind of a technology looking device. Let's just go ahead and skip. Let's just straight up skip and see what this looks like. We got 1 legendary. We've got a bunch of gold. 6 gold. And then we've got, let's see, 8 plus 7, 15 silver. And then 16 bronze. And another 16 bronze. And another 2 bronze. Okay. And yeah, you're probably not going to see anything too different in the card pack opening. Games like this should be a little bit fair and not put too much time and animation into the card pack opening, because you don't want to heavily encourage obsessive compulsive people to just spend 8 hours straight opening card packs. That could be hundreds of dollars. This symbol, by the way, looks like it is a kind of squashed version of the alchemical tree of life, the Kabbalahist symbol. I believe it's a Kabbalah symbol, ancient like Jewish magic, and it's been used in animes quite a lot. The Tree of Life, most probably notably shown in Neon Genesis Evangelion, but the Japanese don't really know anything or care anything about the Western religion so much as they just think the art is cool. That's kind of a rough way to say it, but it's about the kind. The Japanese don't really even care too much about their own Eastern religions of Shintoism and Buddhism. Most of them don't, at least. So we got a bunch more cards. Although, oddly, it seems like we got kind of less. So we got some duplicates in this one, ×2 and ×4. We don't know how many cards you can actually have in a deck. So that opens up another question. Can you only have 2 cards in the deck if it is a common? Can you have only 1 of a legendary? Or can you have 2 of any card? Or can you have 4 of any card? Or can you have an infinite of any card? If there is a maximum of cards that you can have, will the game give you duplicates at that point that you can dust? Probably. It will. That tends to be the case. So, we didn't get anything in the last card pack opening also. This time we got Iridescent Sphinx ×1 and Thoth ×1. But opening 10 packs, you are getting maybe 1, maybe 2 legendaries. So, I am getting a bit of a feeling as far as just how much you would actually have to open to get lots of legendaries. Of course, no telling how many legendaries there actually exist in the game. And so we have like 10 tradable for the 10 packs. So yeah, you'd have to buy 400 packs before you could do any tradables at all. So that number is fairly high. Depending on if there are daily quests and how often a daily quest gives you enough to buy a pack, and if there is actually a need to buy 400 packs. 400 packs at a certain point makes it feel like you probably would have everything in a certain expansion, but maybe that's what that means, is that by the time you purchase 400 packs you should have everything you need, and thus we're going to unlock this tradables mode that lets you just trade whatever cards you have extra for the cards you don't have. That would be incredibly, incredibly generous to just guarantee after 400 packs that every player, no matter what, would have a complete collection of an expansion. And there's an idea like that would be very much appreciated in any of the collectible card games I've played in the past. Like if Hearthstone said after buying 400 packs you get a complete collection of every one of its expansions, if Magic the Gathering said that, that would be amazing. Yeah, I didn't even get 1 legendary in this pack, and seemingly quite a lot of duplicates from it. Okay, so now I want to go to more, and boy, you've got a lot of more here. You've got your profile, your friends, your ranking, a game guide, a device link so you can play on your cell phone. That is one of the beautiful things here. There's probably plenty of promo codes lying around. Let's see. Finally. Took forever to get to this point. There we go. 1080p, 60 frames per second. I don't know why it would have taken that long. Adjust card detail window size by 100%. You apparently can scale it down. Default leaders for opponent. Confirm the end of turn. Confirm before evolving. Interesting, there's confirmation boxes, but they're turned off by default. So they think the average person is particularly good. You can encrypt your network, but that's turned off by default. That's an interesting option. I've never seen that before. That probably means that they're just sending everything through an HTTP transfer of some sort, although that really would be a terrible network protocol to use for a game. But okay. It's something you can do. And to evolve the follower, you right click it, and to scroll over it, you can move the mouse buttons. Yeah, there's a lot of games that don't have that as an option either. Just some real basic things. So what do we have? Our first farer, we have a ranking of 0. We have several different kinds of card decks. Kind of, if you play as Orisa, you're going to be playing kind of a forest craft. If you play as Erica, you're going to be a sword craft. So each one of these are going to be slightly different kinds of cards. Alright. So there's 8 heroes, which until very recently, Hearthstone only had 8 heroes, and Magic the Gathering only has 5 colors of cards, but you can play multiple colors of cards in any deck, so they don't really have any heroes. Even though there is a hero avatar you can select, it doesn't affect any gameplay. Alright, let's go back to cards. Custom decks can be built on the deck screen. Cards can be created and liquefied in the card screen. Liquefied is an interesting phrase. I guess it works just as well as anything else. Vials are used to create cards to get vials when matches or liquefy extra cards. On the card screen, you can create copies of most cards in the game. Okay. And now everything is in full screen, so I can actually see these images a lot better. For instance, we played this water fairy, and I could see that it was a little anime water fairy, but I could not see anything of this guy in the background who is either summoning her or she's running away from. Basic cards can't be created or liquefied, so this is a basic card. Then we have things marked as new, and we'd need like 200 vials to craft that, and it would be really stupid to do that. Everything here is marked as new, but I don't know if there's an easy way to remove things from being marked as new. Night of the Living Dog. This is cute in a twisted sort of way. See if we can see any art that really jumps out at us. Elfguard. And then when it evolves, you get a slightly more scantily clad character. So I wonder if that is kind of what happens with all of them, is that they start to show a little bit more skin. Or sometimes this one is really just flipped more than anything and just has a little bit more color. You're still getting the same amount of a profile and some underwear pantsuit shots. Let's see. Yeah, it seems like it's often just a flip of the image when it evolves and a different art piece, which that would be very easy for the artist to do, is just to say make a second copy, flip it, and add some more details. That's an interesting idea. I don't know how you'd represent that in the real world though, unless there was kind of unless the cards were see-through, and so that they were clear, and then you would flip them over. There is a new clear collectible card printing system, so it would be possible. Or the cards could just have no card backs, but I don't know how that would really work. We'll want to see about the card backs, particularly. Now this is interesting. I would say the unevolved version of this is actually showing more skin than the evolved version of this. So there's a darker looking nightmare demon, succubus type character, or a vampire type character. Does the dark trump the skin as far as being family unfriendly? Like, so far I'm not seeing anything that I wouldn't be that I would be upset letting a 14-year-old look at or play. Like, yeah, I'm not seeing anything too extreme here. This one kind of strikes me as almost a completely different artist made that, compared to, say, this. I guess if I haven't made it clear, I am much more in the fandom of the anime art style than as a anti-fan of it. So I kind of like this art. It's not amazing or anything though. It's pretty much alright. And alright is good enough, particularly if you're only going to be looking at these cards for a brief time. That looks weird. We're at page 18 of 38 already, so it did give us a nice starting spot here with cards, but again we would have a problem trying to figure out what we would need to craft, and can we only craft things that we have, or no, I guess you have to click over here to create cards if you wanted to create cards you don't have. So if we see that there are 38 pages of cards we do own. Interesting, this is 0 plus 1. What does that mean? Temporary cards can't be liquefied. So we have this temporary deck. Interesting. Which, I guess, when do the temporary cards disappear? It's an interesting thought. I haven't seen any other card game go down that route of saying here's a temporary card, except for Hearthstone. Hearthstone has allowed you, they eventually added an ability where you could borrow your friend's deck and play it, but I think you can only borrow your friend's deck to play it against your friend. So well, this is a straight butt shot. It's not really showing that much butt. Alright, so 38 pages. We can see in total there's 139 pages of cards. And in create mode, this is 139 pages of cards that you either have only one copy of, when you can have two, or the cards that you have 0 copies of because you're being lent a card. See, what I would need to do, see, then this is an animated version, so there are differences apparently. Yeah, so there's this animated version, then over here is a non-animated version, which I imagine that means you can't play both the animated version and the rest of it. And this is a related card of Paradigm Shift. Interesting. They don't do that in any other game I can think of. So apparently I just favorited that card. Let's go ahead and take that off. It kind of sucks that there's a loading screen there.
Hey, up for a game of frisbee?
Evolve. That is a different picture in that case. And then what does this do? Use one Seer's Globe to animate a copy of this. We currently have one Seer's Globe. Okay. So there is a secondary currency to upgrade something to an animated version, on top of it being its own rarity. And then I guess this dot here probably is an indication of what deck it can be played in. And then the frame is an indication of its rarity as far as what you'd get when opening the pack, and a general idea about how quality the card is. Although it is fairly common in collectible card games for there to be some pretty terrible top tier cards, but they are rare regardless, and thus people might want to buy them. What does this button do? This gives you a filtering of it. So if I was going to say just show me all the white cards, they all do have white gems on them. Alright, so we're right about that part. Then costs go up to 8. We have a rotation, which is, I guess, your standard play of cards. So some things have been moved out of rotation and are effectively restricted or banned. And then there's an unlimited format. There's only followers, spells, and amulets, and there clearly is room for them to introduce some new type of cards eventually in the future, plus a couple of other classes without them really having to change anything. And then there's bronze, silver, gold, and legendary cards. And all the legendary cards do have that kind of shiny legendary feel to it. Is there a way to see any that are animated in legendary? No, but you have a nice option. See, Hearthstone has the ability to type a lot of keywords, but the only way you would know about the keywords is if you learned it outside of the game. The ability to just have a checkbox is quite nice. And then I'm not sure what the traits here particularly mean, but I imagine there's a card out there that says give all Machina cards +1/+1 or something like that. Yeah. But if I was to try to find an animated legendary, I probably don't have one. Let's see if we can even get one, or if it's not even an option. Maybe legendaries by default. Well, they don't seem super animated. Maybe there's very few cards that actually can be animated. Yeah, I'm not seeing anything at all. I could probably spend a good couple hours in just looking at the cards. Kind of have a problem with the loading part, though. There really shouldn't be so much loading. Let's look at the decks we have. You can create decks from either format from the deck screen. You can use the 5 latest card sets and basic cards in the rotation format, which compared to Magic, you can really only use the latest. Well, actually, I think both Hearthstone and Magic at times let you play with up to 8 rotations card sets, so almost 2 years worth of cards, and then when the rotation comes around, they limit it back down to the last 1 year of rotations, which would be just 4 or 5 expansions. So 5 might be a little bit more generous. It might not really matter too much because all the challenge might be in unlimited, or all the fun might be in unlimited. This format is recommended for new players, players new to the game. Rotation really is for new players in almost any collectible card game because it doesn't require you to have been playing the game from day one and have collected all the games. Unfortunately, what you run into in collectible card games often, though, is that the aged players, the ones who have been playing from day one, at a certain point just have everything and they have nothing new to do. So they're at that point they're either so pot committed that they just refuse to change their behavior and go and play a different game, or they are just bored with the game and playing it for social reasons or something else, or they're a streamer. Even at that, after about 5 years, most of the Hearthstone streamers on YouTube were very, very bored with the game and moved on. And then Hearthstone added their Auto Chess Battlegrounds mode, which is a completely different game, and that kept people's attention for a couple months. And then Hearthstone kind of faded out of existence due to controversies of its company, Activision Blizzard, doing things people didn't like. It's not difficult to avoid getting bad PR for a collectible card game, but it is kind of difficult to avoid pissing off your fan base and your player base in a collectible card game if you make a mistake. So it's always important for them to be very generous, very apologetic, and do everything they can to bend over backwards to keep people happy so that they keep coming back and spending more and more money. Unlimited is a dynamic play format that lets you use all available cards. Try to make a rotation deck first. The thing I would say too is so far we haven't seen anything banned, which is nice. Let's see. Auto, new, copy, or deck. Code. Let's make an auto deck. So let's start with Orisa. This class has cards that fill your hand with lots of low-cost fairy followers. This makes it easy to play multiple cards in one turn and activate other Forestcraft cards abilities, giving you more powers. And we could read the rest of these too, if we were interested, but let's just stick with an Orisa auto deck. Your deck has been prepared. Slide cards from your collection in and out of the deck to make changes. A complete deck must hold 40 cards. The deck has been randomly generated. Okay. So it shows 2 water fairies, which in this mode we can't right click to see it. You can only click on it, so you don't get the pretty art here. So it does feel like there's kind of a lot of cards here for this system to work, but I guess it's only 9 pages really, because I can only play these cards, which are neutral cards, and these cards, which are Forestcraft cards. Interesting. And yeah, there's a preview preview at this point lets you scroll around and look at the cards, which is nice. And I think this is the real world equivalent of what people would want to experience in a collectible card game, is the ability to have your binder of cards or have your cards just out freehand and look at them and obsess over them. In a lot of ways, collectible card games do kind of pander to the... So just click save. We got a reward there. Fortune's Hand card pack ticket. Automatically being claimed. Is it going to jump me directly to the store? That would be annoying. Let's just auto-craft one of each decks. And then save. It's kind of nice that they're covering their butt and saying that it's just a randomly generated deck, instead of trying to claim that they're actually putting any kind of logic whatsoever in the card style at all. What I'm not seeing here is any way to change the card backs. So maybe there aren't any card backs in this game. That would be interesting. That most collectible card games do have this like terrible systems to rip off people by having them waste money on visual changes that really don't matter. Let's see. Yeah, there's nothing here that looks like it would change the card back at all. I don't see any button. This just moves your pages forward. Now I don't know if we really needed to craft all of these decks, or if there were already some automatically crafted decks. But well, we would have to find that out later. Let's see. Do we see any basic card decks? Actually, quite a lot of slots here for card decks also. Hearthstone kind of has a problem with that, where it really only lets you have 18 slots, where this seems to be closer to 36 if I counted right. This being Shadowcraft is probably a little bit too on the nose, considering the name of the game is Shadowverse. But it seems like all of the styles of play are a craft of some sort. I was thinking I would probably get a reward for making 9 decks, but maybe we won't. So it's Havencraft instead of Heavencraft, or and Shadowcraft instead of like a Evilcraft, or and Bloodcraft instead of like Vampirecraft. Let's see, is this 6, 7, 8? I feel like I skipped one. I made Bloodcraft, I made Shadowcraft, Dragoncraft. Did I miss Runecraft or Swordcraft? No, there's only 8 in... Oh, there's only 8 characters. Interesting. So there's 9 spots, but there's 8 characters. Just for convenience sake. Yeah. And that's 9, 18, 27, 36 slots in total. 8, 16, 24, 32 is the closest multiple to 36, so there's a little extra room in total. And see, this is a deck list rotation, so there's like a possibility to make potentially another whole 38 decks over time for the unlimited card sets. Interesting. And then tournament winning decks. Here we have some decks that this won the JCG Shadowverse Open 14th season. So you could potentially try to craft this if you had all the cards and just look at all. They have 3 copies of everything, so a very limited variety. And I'm missing all of those cards. But you could copy the deck. You'd need 59,100 vials to craft that. And apparently there's been quite a bit of seasons. But most collectible card games don't bother to show that to you either. You have to go out and find that. So let's see. Let's go back to the home. And let's see. So this evolve button, I think, is probably just to play with the art here. I don't think it actually costs you anything. Yeah. So it's just kind of a, hey, check out our art. Look at these cards. But this also seems like this is that entry level deck that it's showing you, instead of a different deck. So is there a way to change this deck? See, info. Open a web browser. No. Thanks. Missions. What? Win 3 matches for a daily win. Play a bunch of... Let's see. There's 1 daily mission, which don't seem to stack, where most collectible card games let you have 3 stacked daily missions. So that might be a problem, because if I have to actually play this game every day, that's requiring too much. But it might not be that bad anyways, because winning 3 games might be fairly easy, particularly if you can do it in story mode and just go back and play the easiest parts. Definitely seems like there's a decent amount of rewards for those missions. I'm not sure if there's enough rewards. This is the only collectible card game I've seen where you have a guild. I've seen other cell phone games with guilds, certainly, and sometimes they're good, but often they're pretty pointless, and they just are there to give this fake feeling of camaraderie. I once ran a guild for quite a while, and it petered out eventually over the years. So I'm not sure what joining a guild particularly would do, but you can see there's some that are marked for hardcore players, there's some that are marked for everyone. A lot of times these guilds have spam problems in the chat, or there's no real reason to play them. You can see that there is a vast number of guilds here that are named in Japanese. So so you could you can't really filter this by region, so joining a guild, you'd have to fairly be careful to not join something where they're gonna type out the rules of the guild in Japanese and you don't know whether you're following the rules or not. But no direct indication that there's a need to join a guild either. So I want to come back here. You can replay memories, that's nice. Item history, others. What does others mean? Terms of service copyright. And then there's contact. There's a website, Shadowverse, and an official website. Seems like you don't need 2 of those. It's a lot of buttons in the settings. So we have a small advertisement on the side of the screen trying to get you to buy things, and an advertisement for stories chapter 9 through 14. I'm not sure how many levels of how many challenges there are. So some cards have been changed digitally. They have a YouTube channel, and they have live streams on Twitch, and they have community tournaments via Battlefy. And then you have a secondary thing here. So you would have to register for this and then log in every day. Daily private matches, 1,000 card giveaway. So yeah, it does definitely feel like a lot of the other Japanese games. There is some monetization here, but there's seemingly enough here to at least play the single player content. The Tale of Shadowverse continues with the main story, which can be found in solo. By defeating opponents, you get great rewards and cards exclusive to the main story. Pre-built decks can be used in the main story. They can come in handy during tougher battles, so make sure to take advantage of them. Learn the characteristics of each class through the story battles. Each leader's first chapter in the Morningstar story is a tutorial that introduces you to each class. Learn the characteristic of the classes as you process through the story. Okay. So you can't practice against the computer right now. So we have 8 challenges here. And it seems like it's going to force me into this. We did the prologue. There's 8 challenges here. And then it seems like there's a conclusion that might just be an animation. And then the Guild War that has 8 challenges. And then there probably are more chapters later on. In a troubled land, there appears without warning a mysterious force known as the Morningstar. From the Morningstar spring shades, unfathomable and shadowy beings that drag the land into chaos. I'm not sure I saw any cards that showed any shadows, but I imagine there are some Shadowcraft cards that are somewhat similar to that character. I just can't click back, so we have to go forward. Pick a leader and play against the computer opponents. This is a great way to learn about the characteristic of each class. No thanks. Okay. Then the last thing to look at is the arena. Fortune's Rotation Cup, 3 days remaining. Stage 2 is in progress. Seems like you could play tournament matches. Well, let's click on this and see. Create your deck and try your hand at Arena. Earn rewards from your victories. Grand Prix is an online tournament held over 3 stages. During each stage, you can play a number of rounds daily for free. Win matches to qualify for Group A or your Group B semifinals. You still have a chance to qualify for Group B in the finals. And then Group A finals get exclusive rewards for Group A, where Group B finals seem to not get exclusive rewards. But that does seem like that is a fairly decent offering, and you get 1 free entry per day, and you can play 3 times. So, alright. Let's play one more game. I know we've taken 2 hours to just start here, but I think I like what I'm seeing here. It's not blowing me out of the water or doing anything different, but it seems like it would be worthwhile to try out Shadowverse instead of going back and playing Hearthstone after 5 years of playing Hearthstone. Even though I would still say Hearthstone probably does have a little bit more polish and a lot more variety in the type of animation styles that are in the game. Hearthstone also is, though, missing several features here. Hearthstone might not be as monetized as this, so it's a close match here, certainly. So they're thinking you can try up to 5 wins. And what's the background do? Simple background option. Interesting. It's weird that you can click a button and then it's just one button under it, but it seems like they probably are planning on adding more features. Seems like I just have a few days to do this. There is this problem, certainly, though, with this Shadowverse game, maybe wanting you to play a little bit every single day. And maybe early on I'd be willing to put in that time, but later on I wouldn't be willing to do that. And since my main goal here is to have a collectible card game that I can play while I'm talking about video game news and games that have come out on Steam, you run into this possibility where the games might be a little bit too fast-paced for me to go on a tangent or talk about something, and so there might be a bit of a confusion problem here. Like, we have so far not seen any timer pop up, and that's the one thing, because if I was talking about video game news, I'd want to be able to sit here and just talk about video game news for a minute or two before the timer pops up and it tells me you need to end your turn fairly quickly, or you're going to either pass your turn, or if it passes your turn too many times, it's going to just automatically cancel. I imagine I am playing against a real person in this game. But I might not be. I might just be playing a tournament against AI, and everybody is just being challenged against the AI. Yeah, that looks like a real person to me. So, unless this is an indicator of you need to move, well, it either gives you an incredible amount of time at first, or there's just like a timer in general that is counting in the background. But yeah, it seems like it gives you a fairly large amount of time to wait. Let's see. I'm gonna have to probably change the mouse settings, but it's really nice that you can do that. Let's see. I don't know what accelerate does, or fanfare. Deal 3 damage to a random enemy follower. And it seems to have some kind of like burn effect on him. What is this guy doing? Whenever you perform a burial rite, subtract 1 from this AMULETS. Cool countdown. Last word, summon a cloister Sarcassian. I have no idea what that is. Let's do this.
May the forest be at peace.
And then there's nothing special about those, so let's put that. See, it would take maybe a little bit of time to recognize the skull here as a death rattle ability. Summon the Fabled Treasure. Let's see. An allied follower is destroyed. Draw 2 cards. Restore defense of your leader by 2. Let's see, what does this upgrade to? A 3/3 versus a 3/3. So let's evolve this one.
You're done for! Bad people are evil! Stay away!
Seeing that healed at none. So that works well for me. And do I want to play this? Destroys the amulet. See, it seems like these guys have the Japanese voice acting enabled, and because my opponent has Japanese voice acting, I'm hearing the Japanese voice acting, which is not what I'd normally come to expect. It also feels like if you're playing as like a Shadowcraft, there is a specific counter countdown that's different than my countdown, which I don't know what this is supposed to represent. Number of cards played in this turn versus number of shadows held.
I've seen them.
So
Toyota Forge!
now that's upgraded to a 7/7.
I love that. Ow!
It just did 7 damage straight up to me. Let's see. Two damage.
森があなたの応援団です。
Now, I'm not sure if this is one loss and you're out, and I would be fine if it was, frankly. But like, I don't have anything I think that has accelerate as a feature.
I love that. I'm gonna rest.
This one does. So let's play this.
A cornucopia of contempt. I just have to try.
Better a glorious death than an ignominious life.
There went that.
Oh, come on!
I can only have so many cards in my hand, apparently.
Hey, let's play. Hey, let's play. Hey, let's play. Hey, let's play.
Let's see. Why did that not work? X is the number of cards in play. Allied nature cards. I guess these are not allied nature cards.
It won't be long now.
Well, I'm clearly not playing any real strategy here, and getting my butt handed to me, rightfully so. Now, are we stuck with the same deck? Can we make any changes? And there's apparently an XP level to this also. Let's see what the back button takes us to. Yeah. No, we've locked in the deck. So we can't change anything. We could quit or we can keep playing. Some cards have fusion. Yu-Gi-Oh! Is the only other card game I know that has fusion, but that's an interesting idea. And we're having kind of a weird problem with the load screens don't take long enough for you to actually be able to read it, which I guess is fine. I mean, I would rather
Time for me to
the
prove
game move
myself.
fast and
Time
instead
to
of
get started.
the load screen's taking forever. Now take a note that this one does have a different card back, and a different avatar, and a different playfield. So it does seem to me like somewhere I missed something you unlock either through opening packs in pieces. Like we were getting things that kind of looked like this as different kinds of avatars. See, damage to the leader needed to activate vengeance.
Don't hurt me.
But I don't know where in the menu you craft this.
Ow.
And clearly there's a way to do it, and I don't know where in the menu you get the card backs. I guess I should just play things. This one is trying to hurt itself faster, and so I'm gonna probably make a mistake by helping him do that.
I won't hurt you too much.
Let's see. Greenwood Guardians. Nope. Crystallized one. So crystallized cards, I imagine, can't be played on the first turn.
No right to tread here. Gotta carve a way
Go ahead and kill that.
Breach of contract, huh?
Now, is this the number of times? No, this is just the amount of damage it's taken. Which that would be a slightly different number sometimes if it was the number of times you take damage. And I guess healing this one probably wouldn't reactivate this ability. I would like to know what this ability is for my character. It seems like it's very possibly something that's just not unlocked yet. And you have to level up your character to even be able to do it. There is something wrong here with the idea of let's see.
Hey, let's play.
That was probably bad. Yeah.
Away with you! Ow! Stay away! Ow!
Yeah, that would be weird if you would have to level up your character before you can have an ability, but it does kind of seem like that is the case. Because this number of cards that played this turn doesn't seem like it ever goes higher. We've got some emotes here. And it seems like they're deciding what to do. Thinking. Which will give me an excuse to drink some water.
Go! Go!
So is it going to attack or what? It's any collectible card game, but this is definitely one of them. It's going to take a real long time for you to learn the cards and figure out what they do. Like, it should only take you maybe a day or two to learn the ideas of like fanfare and evolving, the general concepts. But the bigger issues of 2 other cards were played this turn.
Hey, let's play.
That's 1 card.
Hey,
That's
let's
1
play.
card. And then
May
3
the
cards.
forest be at peace.
And then this. And then evolve
You're done for.
to a 5/5. Interesting. And then that wasn't too bad of a move. I think I kind of understand the strategy here, but some of it doesn't fully make sense because if you play like 4 other cards, you can only have 5 or 6 cards on the field.
I'm gonna rest for a bit.
I'm still waiting for this to finally activate.
Check this out. Ooh. Oh, come on!
Enemy followers -2. Okay. One,
Hey, let's play.
2,
Hey, let's play.
3,
The forest abandoned me.
and 4,
Hey, let's play.
and then evolve.
It won't be long now.
I walk my own path.
And then
Just
I
don't.
think that means we have to kill this and kill this. And we might win here, but it's questionable. It's fairly questionable. Game +2/+2. If 2 other cards have been played, put 2 fairies in your hand. Give the enemy followers -2/-0. Deal next damage. Deal 1 damage 2 times.
Ooh. Okay, this one's all me.
Whoops.
Oh, come on!
Yeah, we've probably lost. Let's see, go ahead and kill that.
Filthy beast!
That healed it. What's that? It's not going to be helpful.
Let's play. Hey, let's play. Yeah!
Yeah, unless this guy had some kind of death rattle. Oh, last words that did 14
Good
damage.
job.
You can definitely see how a new player with no cards and no deck building ability is just doomed to get the lowest reward. Not that that's a terrible thing. Like, we are making little bits of progress here. So we might as well just quickly run through the next couple challenges. Matchmaking doesn't look terrible in this game. I haven't been keeping count, but it feels like between spending a lot of time looking at the menu and just figuring out the basics of the game, we have been able in 2 hours to play probably 5 or 6 games, and that could probably double up to 12 for a average playthrough if I try to play very fast. Here we have another new hero that we see people have unlocked, and a new card back and a new playfield. All the playfields are nice. They're not oh, they are interactive. Interesting. I was about to say they're not interactive like Hearthstone, but color me wrong about that. This is some kind of church, I guess. And see, this one has overflow as an ability. This might be a case where the basic hero characters and their abilities are not good enough and they don't compete anymore. Let's see. Forcecraft Nitra. Forcecraft. Okay, so if I was gonna build a deck with this, I would need more nature cards. This would be a 3/3.
The path ahead is overgrown.
So ideally I want to play this next turn to bring this back to the hand to play this again.
Stay away.
What does this have to do? Play points. Okay. That's what unlocks it. So you probably want to win fairly quickly. Let's see. Alright, well.
Gotta carve a way through.
Attack here. Play this, return this. And then play this again. I may be ending up with too many cards, really.
Stay away.
But that was just a spell card. I didn't realize it wasn't also a creature summon card. I thought it was both.
Did someone call for a medic? Bottoms up.
Let's see. Let's go ahead and start playing the Greenwood Guardians.
You have no right to tread here. You have no right to tread here.
I will say, compared to the game I recently played, Cards,
Stay away.
like, there was a weird system in that game where you had credits, like these energy points, but you had to use them both to summon and to attack. So you actually had a double burden compared to most collectible card games to pay attention and make sure you have enough energy to actually be able to have your characters fight and attack. I didn't like that system. It's much more traditional just to have a character once on the field be able to attack always. Let's see, this is that one that's not that useful.
Why are you here?
So
Stay away.
what is fanfare? What do we do to activate fanfare? Fanfare effects activate when you play a card from your hand using play points. 1 play point equals a Forcecraft followers evolved to 3/3. So it's just a summoning ability, I guess, is what fanfare. I did not, by the way, know that you could click on it to get that information. I just figured it was worth worth a chance. Clash abilities are activated before damage is dealt whenever attacking or defending against an enemy. It does not activate when attacking leaders. So,
You're done for.
and we now do see a
You won't get away
timeout
with this.
happening here.
They're picking on me.
It doesn't give you much of an early warning on the timeout, but and it doesn't play any sound effect from what I heard. I evolved this character. I didn't know I could evolve it.
Don't you like me? Oh, come on!
This guy is just absolutely wrecking me. Okay. So, how much damage are we gonna do? Let's just go ahead and hit that. Hit that, I guess.
One for Oops, wrong pill.
That would did 4 damage.
Hey, let's play.
This is not a bad card, Fairy Officer. If you're gonna end up with a lot of fairies in your hand, although I think there's probably not much of a reason to play this deck ever. It needs a real big improvement. If you're gonna play cheap cards and try and overwhelm them in a game like this, I think you're gonna have to work particularly hard at that. And you're gonna have to have things with a fanfare that just summon more things directly to the field.
Ow! Ow!
You have angered me.
So we have 2 health left, and
Whoa! You're strong.
I don't know if he emoted there to say he was angered, or if that was just something the game said by default. Yeah, we're not doing great. 0 wins. But at least I'm learning the cards and we're building things up. This was a Grand Prix rotation, so that means that I could have used older cards if I had older cards, which would have changed things. Probably a lot if I was an older player. I like that the loading screen is very varied here. A lot of collectible card games only have 4 or 5 loading background screens.
Time for me to prove
And
myself.
they're often very
chill you
boring.
to
They
the
don't have
bone.
any description or text with them, so there's not too much to really take from it. Magic: The Gathering Arena is a great example of that. Like every expansion they put in 2, maybe 3 loading background images, but the images are just images and they just sit there as the game is trying to load into a game, which it's not particularly good at doing as far as the matchmaking. And it feels like it's fairly tight, so if you don't have like a 1 mana, and I will just always call this mana even if they're not calling it mana, if you don't have a 1 mana if you don't have a 1 mana card to play in the first turn, you probably have put yourself at a significant disadvantage for the rest of the game, to the point where you probably lose 30% of a chance of winning. So getting the deck balance right is probably very important.
Look at your stupid face.
That's an interesting sound effect. And see, this is a different avatar character with the overflow ability. So it seems like there are different kind of avatar characters you can have.
I'll face you head on.
I don't want to do it now, but I kind of do love the idea here that you can get rid of a lot of these animations and speed up the game. There's really no reason not to have something like that. Let's see. So what we're looking for is an actual fairy.
The forest abandoned me.
So we want fairies on the field before we do anything else. So probably want to play this fairly quickly.
Look at your stupid face.
Oh, it's actually this character that made that sound effect. That kind of Scottish character.
Did someone call for a medic? White Frost, gather. Drink every drop. Medic's orders.
Better than in the
Bottoms
cradle.
up.
So this one's just gonna heal constantly.
Hey, let's play.
What's the death? See. So that's like a Machina card. And would there be like an evolved would make it a 3/3. Evolved here would make a 4/4. This doesn't evolve.
Look at your stupid face.
I should evolve this. I should have evolved it, come to think of it. Because this is going to give +1 to +1 to fairies. What else have we got?
Break your chains and become the dragon.
Let ice claim you.
Look upon me.
Oh, come on!
Just defeated all my fairies. Alright, well,
Need a little pick-me-up?
put this here. Evolve that.
You're done for!
This'll cure what ails ya.
And is this a fairy? No. So it's not gonna get a +1/+1. Yeah, it's fairly obvious. These cards do not work well together. But there are cards clearly that will work well together. And overflow, from the sounds of it, it probably means when it does extra damage, it also hurts me.
Oh, come on!
Let's see, is there overflow as an ability? Can we figure out what that is? 6/6 6/7.
You won't escape.
It won't be long now!
My arrows never miss. This'll do it.
The dragon is immortal.
So that just like saves me one turn. At least I'm trying to play here. We've yet to find like where to concede. I guess you just click quit. and that would be your concede option. Let's see. Can I play this and other things?
The path ahead is overgrown. You have no right to tread here.
Fate binds us all.
Well, I've played a lot of things. I don't know if any of that saves me for one turn. Like, the odds of me being able to turn this around and win are basically zero. Let's see. So this seems to get cheaper, though, the more cards you play. Let's see. Rush fanfare.
Leave this to me, fairy friends.
So now this is like a 1.
Away with you!
Do that. And I'm gonna play this and return this one. And I don't know why it disappears that way.
Here.
Now, how many of these have been played?
Gotta carve a way through.
Oops, wrong pill.
I'll take care of them.
In the turn. So we've got no more evolving that we can do. If I win here, it's almost certainly because they let me win, or they played all of their cards and they've just got 6 useless cards in their inventory. Which I would have a hard time believing that. They probably were just waiting for this to happen. X1, Errant's Justice. X1, Errant's Justice. So they were giving me a show. No surprise there. But every time you play, you seem to get a standard 100 experience. And that seems to be worth it. And this will hopefully be our last game since we've been going for 2.5 hours. And then I think I will want to play this some more. So before I start streaming on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday this game, I think I'll probably want to make another episode in which we just go through the story. And if we can go through the story in an hour or 2, good. And then if we're not anywhere close to being done after that point, we'll make like a 3rd episode to just get through the introductory story content without the distractions of talking about video game news and stuff like that.
My blossoms will reflect
And then
in
it
your
will
eyes.
be a different experience, certainly, when I am streaming this and talking about video game news, where I'll be moving a little bit slower and not paying attention and just kind of playing to get the daily wins and have something to do on the screen. That's all these collectible card games have ever been for me, is just an excuse to have something on the screen while I'm talking. And at some point I might need to expand out the requirement and find some non-collectible card game that would work just as well. There's plenty of idle games I could have running in the background that would also work, but they'd not be very interactive or very interesting. Although, let's be fairly honest, I don't think too many people are interested in my videos half the time anyways. And if I was just trying to chase views, I would just play the most popular AAA game for a week or two while it's hyped, and then jump to the next most popular AAA video game while it's hyped. And just lock into that eternal cycle of playing things for views and not actually enjoying any of it. Let's see. This is an interesting evolve ability, so I probably don't want to potentially lose it.
The path ahead is overgrown.
Hey, let's play.
So, I have some cards here that are focused around playing Greenwood Guardians, and some that are focused around playing fairies. So I need to decide whether, when building a deck, whether I want to do one or the other, but not both.
For it now.
This Nature Great Tree might be a good mix for my cards also.
You're done for.
It does seem like they can attack leaders if they've been evolved. This is a nice one because this one's going to get buffed up for every allied follower, which I assume is each of these characters is an allied follower.
Unleash your heat.
I'll lay a flower in your memory.
I've been forged in those fires.
Is he going to attack? Probably. Let's strike. Do.
You have no right to tread here.
Let's play this.
See it? My wings flutter with love.
And then let's evolve this.
It won't be long now.
The forest changes, but not my love. By
And
my
so
wings.
now we have this extra ability, which was what? Give your leader the following effect during your turn whenever a follower is added to your hand from anywhere but the deck. Give the follower +1/+1. This effect is not stackable and lasts for the rest of the match. Nice. So this is like the best card probably in my deck. So now we need to play this and then play this.
Enough of this indulgence.
When should I fall?
Well, let's do that one then. Destroy that. Put a fairy on the field. Do that.
Hey, let's play.
And do that.
Hey, let's play.
And then the turn. Next turn, we may need to use this or this. Depends on what ends up actually on their side at the end of their move.
Fire, unleash your heat.
See, he has like a whole system here he's trying to do. let's see if we can wreck his system by getting rid of that. Alright.
The forest abandoned me.
Yeah, I'm at 15 and 19, but there actually feels like there might be a small chance here of winning.
覚悟はいいかしら。グリムバースト。Oh come on! Oh come on!
What in the world? Reduce enemy leader's maximum defense by 5. Deal 1 damage to enemy follower and then 1 damage to the enemy leader. Do this 5 times. Okay, can we pull this off?
Why are you here?
This ends here.
So this has clash that would
You won't get
reduce
away with
by
this.
2.
Stop.
認めないんだから。
And then this,
Hey, let's play.
this.
Hey, let's play.
Can I play this and activate? How many cards have I been played? See, no, this will just give me +2/+2, which is the best I'm gonna get. The odds of playing 4 cards is pretty low in this setup, but I could see doing it later. That there actually is a real strategy here that I'm beginning to see.
No, you're strong.
Not that any of it mattered because we lost again. Let's go back. So let's redeem that reward and see what we got. 3 more wins needed to qualify for Group B. We got 30 rupees. Let's see, you can try to qualify again today. No thanks, since that would cost something. So before we wrap up here, and this is just going for forever, is where is it under supplies, I guess? So sleeves, if you have the premium currency, you can get these season rewards, which are card backs and characters, and there's quite a lot of them. You can change your sleeve on the deck screen, apparently. There's quite a lot here. Now this is just aesthetic stuff, but this does also kind of seem very whale-ish. I'm not seeing anything that indicates any of this would ever go on sale. Seems to be fairly consistent in its pricing at 400 crystals for each one. So I guess that's nice. They're not trying to do something really crazy. You probably would want to find the one. Here you have a crossover of Zombieland Saga, which I believe was an anime. So it's free, so why not? Free item, buy. Free item, buy. One of the things that a lot of gacha games and Japanese games have are these crossovers to animes, and then you have to be playing the game when the crossover event is happening, or you just never get it. So it's actually very nice to see here you have Grand Blue Fantasy cards, another anime. It's nice to see that this is just acting as a continuous advertisement, but as a continuous advertisement that anybody can get, and it doesn't disappear. Okay, so if that is that in supplies, let's see what we can do with leaders. So the 4th birthday leader set requires 8 tickets. And this lets you change your profile screen. So 1 ticket, which we apparently have several tickets, but clearly not enough. And it seems like you could buy this individually, or you could just buy it as a group, and it would cost the same amount, so no trick there. Whereas this is a Princess Connect Redive, another anime set. So, okay. Then a Mysteria Friends, another anime. Then Princess Connect Redive again, probably the 1st season. And then here you can buy it with either the non-premium gold or the premium gold. Although maybe that's not what this means. Maybe this means you have to spend 800 rupees and 800 crystals. But again, that would mean crystals and rupees are the same value, which is actually quite refreshing. Here we have some Grand Blue Fantasy stuff. Here you have some Street Fighter stuff. The art style in Street Fighter being particularly incompatible with the art style of all the other characters. And here we have some Rage of Bahamut crossovers. Okay. So I'm kind of confused as to what I was collecting then. Sears globes need biles to get the animated things. A lot of stuff clearly doesn't make sense until you figure out what it is. So do we have any item history or an inventory? This is like your purchase history and items you've gotten. See if we scroll here. It's showing tons and tons of cards we've gotten. That's not a useful system. Cards, decks menus, rotation, this deck, sleeves. So now you, after you've created the deck, you can change the sleeve. And we have a decent amount of sleeves we could use if we wanted. Okay, and it's kind of odd that they show you different sleeves, but the same sleeve 3 times over when that's all you can do. And then we only have 1 leader unlocked. And what does this button do? Change the name. You can create a deck code and share it. So do I have any other leaders? And I imagine the sleeves wouldn't change because that would be really weird. So it kind of does feel like you, in opening packs, get parts of maybe maybe unlocking a new leader, but you need multiple parts of unlocking that leader, and it is hidden somewhere in this interface that I can't find to find those parts, because we were getting those when we were in the shop buying cards. Pre-built decks. Maybe we got some tickets for pre-built decks. How many tickets do we have? Be nice to know if we had some of these. Clearly some of these are like 500 crystals. Each purchase comes with a bonus item. What's a bonus? Is a bonus card in person with at certain purchases. So they want you to make like 8 purchases. Okay. This one doesn't. Consisting only of temporary cards, these pre-built decks are ready for you to jump right into battle. Available until 8 AM July 27th, which is to say that they are probably going to disappear fairly quickly as of this recording in about a week. If we were going to use temporary gems to trade for temporary cards, temporary gems can be used to earn by playing matches. For more details, see the help screen. Well, that's a weird system. Interesting. It's weird to have a double system to buy potentially packs and buy temporary cards. Let's see what the tradables are. This is a tradable, but apparently I can't trade it. Oh, so I guess this is saying if you have a top tier platinum card, more copies than you can play. After you've done 400 purchases or 40 purchases, then you can trade those around. And here's like the draw rates are hidden behind the website, so it's good to know. Get the card to get the leader. Get the card to get the leader. Alternate art versions. Get the card to get the leader. So there are just leader cards. 3 leader cards in the Rebirth of Glory. What is this? Does this one say the same thing? Yeah. Get the card to get the leader. So you get leaders by opening packs. What an interesting system. That's different. Alright, well. Yeah, I've been playing for nearly 2 hours and 45 minutes. This looks doable. So, in the next recording of Shadowverse, we will go through the solo element and see what that unlocks as far as rewards, and start to think about building decks or earning pre-built decks, and really trying to start to be close enough to the point where we could actually play multiplayer and it not just be a joke. That's going to be it for this recording. As always, I end my episodes the same way. I ask you to like, share, subscribe, comment, and watch every second of my videos. If you want a friend or follow me on any social media sites, there's a whole bunch of links down below in the description box. And if you want to support me further, there's a link to Patreon, or you can friend me on Steam and gift me a game off my wishlist. Thank you for watching. Have a good evening.